Live from Canada, it's the SSN podcast with your host, Larcher, Colin, and Liberty. Transition. There we go. That, I think, quite possibly was the cleanest transition I have done in a long time. All right?
That's a first.
All I had to do was quite literally talk it out. Okay, so go to black screen, transition to intro, set up black screen, transition. I had to literally say it out loud for make sure I got it done. Yeah, the intro is a little bit wrong. Welcome guys to the SSN podcast. Liberty's the one who's not here. Michael is here, and we have Tom subbing in for Liberty. Liberty unfortunately stubbed a toe and died. May he rest in swollen peace. Sometimes it's just that you snub that toe and just that shockwave goes out your body and you just can't do anything anymore. So it had to be done. We have Tom obviously coming back in, not just for the Snatum, but another substitute for the podcast. So welcome again, Tom. How are you?
Not bad. Third string's doing quite well.
Yeah. You
Nice.
you playing your cards right, man. You might make it up to the first chair. You know what I mean? You're gonna be on the chair side.
You guys can have it.
God. So a lot of people might not know this. Will, he took an arrow to the toe. One of the things you guys might not know, obviously on your side here, the podcast almost didn't happen today. Not because Liberty stubbed his toe and died. That's whatever. We mourned for 2 seconds, and it was whatever. He'll come back as a zombie or something.
2
I'm sure.
seconds? Like a second and a half.
Yeah.
Right.
We pretty much mourned him for as long as it took for me to write the message "Liberty's dead," which took about half a second. yeah. But
Poor Liberty.
You're not here, you get roasted, man. That's the rule. That's the fucking rule.
I don't know what you said to me last week. Then I don't want to hear it.
I don't even remember. That was a year ago.
Oh, okay, good.
One of the things I wanted to talk about was, again, the podcast almost didn't happen because today at 11:40 I had an appointment for an ultrasound for my shoulder to see if there was a tear, see what's going to happen and all that jazz. And they asked me to get there 20 minutes early, which I did. I showed up. And they're like, all right, here's what's going to happen. You're going to give us your information, da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, okay. Problem is, there's a huge lineup at the door, which is not supposed to be a thing right now because it's COVID, and they're supposed to have limited people there, but whatever. It's, whatever. Luckily, that part kind of went a bit faster. Then I give them my information. They're like, all right, you're here for an ultrasound and an X-ray? And I'm like, no. I thought the X-rays were only supposed to be for walk-in appointments only. I thought I had to come in some other time. Like, no, we'll get you in all together at once. I'm like, no, it's okay, no, and they just walk away. I'm like, well, fuck. Now I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay. They come back. I'm like, how long is this gonna take? I have prior engagements, and they're like, but you're here for an ultrasound. I'm like, yes, but I was told this was only gonna take 20 minutes, and I have everything bunched up together so that this is my life. Fuck you. This is going to work or not? Let me know. They're like, oh yeah, no, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, fine. I sit down, I wait, and then someone else comes by, and they're like, oh, you're here for your ultrasound and X-ray? I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, well, it's gonna take a while. I'm like, but the person just said it was gonna be fast. What? No. So at that point, I'm like, okay, fuck this. I write the initial message, I think, to my wife. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna make it to the podcast. I'm kind of fucked right now. And Tracy's like, well, just try to see if you can cancel the X-ray and just do the ultrasound because that one's only supposed to take 20 minutes at most. I'm like, fuck. I'm waiting. And after waiting long enough, I'm like, okay, fuck this. Boom. Grab my phone. I'm like, guys, I'm sorry, I can't make it to the podcast. Go in, we're gonna have to cancel the podcast. And I'm writing up in the I don't know if we'll be able to see it, but I started writing it in the SSN info or the live and updates feed. I doubt the camera's gonna be able to pick it up, but it's a little bit too loud. But you can't see the text. But it started writing at everyone, and I started writing. It's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. And as that's happening, I get called, all right, let's go for your ultrasound. They call me up already. I'm like, what? They're like, let's go. I'm like, okay, fuck, yeah, all right. Okay. Bunch of people around me still like sitting down. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what's going on? Yes, sir. I get up, I start walking, and I'm like, there are people in front of me. Like, what's going on? I thought there was a big lineup. They're like, yeah, there is, but you had a requisition. You had something from your doctor, and this was a scheduled appointment for you, so you get to skip all of them. I'm like,
Nice.
fucking go. So I sit down, get the ultrasound down on my shoulder, and it's sitting there. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen now? I'm like, or how long is this going to take? They're like, maybe like 30, 40 minutes, depending how you act. I'm like, what? They're like, take off your shirt. I'm like, throw it off. I'm like, let's just fucking go. And they're like, what? I'm like, sit down. I'm like, we got to go right now. And like, fucking gel me up, oil me up. I don't care what you have to do. Just fucking go. So the guy starts doing the stuff and starts going left, up, down, right, whatever. Like, all right, fucking A, B, select, start. I'm like, all right, cool. All right. I'm like, all right, what happens now for the X-ray? Like, well, put your clothes on, go wait in the lobby, for the X-ray waiting lobby, and then we're gonna get your X-rays done. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, how long is that gonna take? They're like, it's gonna take probably about 15 minutes just to wait, and then the X-ray should take about another 10 to 20. I'm like, motherfucker. Get out. I go to sit down in the X-ray waiting room. They're like, don't touch that chair. I'm like, I'm sorry. They're like, get in here now. Fucking sure enough, sit down. Boom.
Oh, wow.
Fucking like, I'm starting to take my shirt off. The X-ray tech's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, the other guy told me to take my shirt off. They're like, no, not for X-rays. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. So I started zipping up my hoodie up. And they're like, take your hoodie off. I'm like, fucking make up your mind. Like, why? So I sit down, fucking X-ray goes by, boom, I'm done. And literally, I want to take a look at the messages. Actually, I could probably see it on the Discord here. From when I wrote it to you guys in the roundup. And like, this is how fast things went, okay? So at 11:34, telling you guys I'm going to have to cancel. And then by 11:53, that was a time span of like 3 minutes between writing everything and saying that I can't go, because it was like a flash, man. And by the time I was done, I was back in the house. I'm like, I don't even know what just happened. Like, this is, I sat.
Miracle of Canadian healthcare.
Yeah, for once, and I know. Look, and I know our American viewers will be like, oh, well, this is free universal healthcare. Yes, it is, and it's great for most things. Certain things are free, but usually, because it's universal and it's free for a lot of things, the lineups are fucking forever. And then there's some clinics that are actual private clinics you can pay to kind of skip through all that, but that shit costs fucking money. Yeah, it was we almost didn't get the podcast going, but we did, and it took about 10 minutes of me panicking, not panicking, telling you guys no, telling you guys yes, and then but we're here now, and
nice. With a coffee, no less.
Oh, goddamn right. No, this is yesterday's coffee. This was prep from yesterday, so that's why.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's even better. What do you mean? Day old coffee? Oh, yeah, man.
No.
Should try it, Tom. Come on. Oh, instead you got the monster.
Hey, funny enough, I also had this in case I didn't.
Superpower.
We're gonna a Rockstar Revolt grape. Never heard of it.
I got. Let's see. I've got this detergent thing for some reason. That's also chromed out because it's green.
Don't
Cool.
drink out of that.
Well, you know what? Do it, but do it on camera because it's content.
Exactly. Tide Pods, detergent. What's the difference?
Don't start that shit up again. We just got kids to stop eating Tide Pods.
Fucking Tom's like, look, I finally convinced Chelsea not to touch it. We're not bringing it back up.
Those things are expensive, man. We've got took all of them.
God damn it. You know how much that shit sells on the market right now?
Yeah.
Dude, I realized something. This is like the most boomer podcast I think we're going to have in forever. Because technically, Colin is that mid-range boomer zoomer level. But we have Michael, who's 34. No, 30. Yeah, 30.
No.
33, excuse me. You just turned 33. Tom's 34.
Don't age me, bro.
Wow, did you
33.
hear that? Yeah. Tom, you're 34.
I'll be 34 in August.
Okay. And then myself,
33 and 3/4.
There you go.
I'm sitting at 33, or turning 33. And Colin, you're turning 20, or you've turned 25?
I'm 26.
26. Oh,
Oh,
damn! Look at that
26.
youthful face.
Yeah, I'm getting up
Right?
there, man. I'm getting up there.
And I realized, like, man, this is like the podcast of all podcasts where we could just talk. I'm not saying Liberty the Zoomer is the reason why we can't talk about stuff, but it's this moment I realized, like, this might be the most adult-oriented podcast of all
What
time.
are you saying? Are you saying Liv is an adult enough too?
Yeah, actually, I think I am. Yeah. And I think
Liberty's a child. He's always holding us back.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude, and I was,
last time, what was it? The pancakes? So.
oh yeah, his girlfriend giving him pancakes while he's podcasting and shit. Yeah.
Yep.
Fuck's sakes.
What's wrong with that? That's fantastic.
No, Tom, don't you encourage. We do not eat on podcasts or streaming services, right, Michael?
Yeah, listen, okay? I was really hungry, and the wife just threw it in my face. I wasn't gonna let it sit there.
Yeah. For those who don't know, this is more of a nitpick for me. But I got this thing where I am not a fan of having food on podcasts, like whether you're streaming or just eating, like, you know, podcasting in general. I'm not the biggest fan of it. And Michael, unfortunately, it was Thursday, right? Yeah, because you streamed Thursday.
Mhm.
He ended up having a late supper, and then his wife gave him food during the stream and stuff. And I don't think I would have found out about it until, you know, I was on my lunch break at work. You know, just sometimes I'll try to go on, see what people are doing, try to interact with the chat as fast as I can. And then I see this motherfucker's title, and it says, "In space, no one can hear you eat." And I'm like, he can't be serious right now. Like, there's
It was
no
Will
way.
that changed it, not me.
And I'm like, this Will. Oh yeah, that one's on me. And I'm like, there's no way that this is true. And I go and I raise the volume in my car, Bluetooth on my phone, and I just hear Michael. And I'm like, that motherfucker! There's no fucking way. Not know the context of what's happening yet. And I get home. I'm like, hey, Trace, can you do me a favor real quick? She's like, well, I'm like, can you open up the podcast, look at the archives, and I want to see his footage. She's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I just want to see this. And then as she loads it up, I'm like writing up a message to Michael. I'm like, hey, out of curiosity, did you eat on stream today? You know, just to see what he's gonna write. He'd be like, oh no, I wouldn't have done that. But like, the moment the stream starts, like the video starts, the VOD starts, and you just see Michael like kneeling over, coming back, chunk milk, cheeks full of food, and she's like, and I'm like, I'm going to murder this bitch. Like, there is nothing on this earth that will defend him right now. And I'm like, comment like, hey, just what's going on? What's up? And then he explained it, which, you know, it makes sense. It made sense.
I ain't gonna lie. I was hungry.
I
Okay?
mean, you can't lie, because if you were to lie, I'd be like, okay, here's Exhibit
Exactly.
A, the recording
Exactly.
of, you know, fucking April, whatever the fuck, this day. Yeah, it was, I'm not a fan of eating. And the only time I've ever eaten on stream, and I will admit I have done it, was when I am super drunk and Will buys me food. Like, sometimes I'll be like, man, after the podcast, I think I'm gonna or after the stream, I think I'm gonna get myself something to eat, like maybe like some so and so or some such and such. And then Will's like, what? Yeah. And then Will, because of the Secret Santa, and because he's asked me before, like, what my address was, you know, I've given it to him. And then he's like, you should be at the door within the next 20 to 30 minutes. I'm like, why?
Nice.
That's awesome.
And then I'm like, what? Huh? And then sure enough, you know, he gives me the updates. I'm like, all right, go to the door. And yeah, fucking it puts in from Harvey's, or lately it's been puts in from Harvey's. That's what it was. It was the buffalo chicken from that. That shit's good. That is good.
Now, what if I wanted to do a stream of just me eating a steak dinner?
Oh, if you want to do a mukbang, that's fine. So Tom,
Yeah.
you're not. So Tom is new to the streaming world, right?
Yeah.
What you're
Yes,
talking
yes.
was called a mukbang stream, and if that is what your stream will be, go ahead. Usually, though, you have to be like a cute Korean girl or boy, and you have to be eating exotic foods, which for them is, you know, our putsins or shepherd's pies. You know what I mean?
Now, what if I dressed up as a cute Korean girl?
Oh.
With a wig, with ponytails, or...
I like it.
Content. It's content.
That's right.
Can I call you Caroline? Is that okay then?
I guess.
No one else will understand that reference except for chat. Chat's the only one who's gonna get it. And I'm expecting to see one thing in chat right now, and if I don't see it, I'm gonna be very disappointed. Anyways,
Have those outfits, but not the wrestling ones.
Oh.
You gotta start dressing up. There it is. Thank you. Will. You want to be dressed up like Trish Stratus or like fucking like dress up as Stacy Keibler, because all she did was wear short jeans, right? Just you bending over eating food.
Nice. I'd watch it.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
We got one. We got one viewer.
Yeah, right. That's all I needed.
That's how you start an empire.
God damn it. Oh man. All right. Anyways, as I said, I thought this was gonna be the more mature stuff for the stream, right? Apparently,
Sure.
yeah.
Who do you think you're talking to?
Well, technically, the title of this stream is gonna be, episode 4, TVMA, because this is mature content for adults only.
Oh, I
Right.
see. I see.
But I want
right raunchy.
right. This is well, yeah, we're all Canadians. Yes, this will make sense. Do you guys remember the channel on so for me it was channel 27. It was a French channel, and it was called the end of the night. It was called La Bleue Lune, the Blue Moon.
Yeah.
So
No
this
idea.
is how nuts. This is how nuts. People from Quebec are, and I love them to death for this. But at 11:30, maybe midnight sometimes, on a Friday or a Saturday night, they would straight up show softcore porn.
Yeah,
I
know.
shit you. I
Classy.
shit you not, dude. I think it wasn't TVQ. It was something like that. It was anyway. Maybe it was TVQ. Télévision Québécois. Yeah, it probably
Yeah,
was.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and yes, my Alexis got it. Blue Nuit. Yeah, Blue Night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course they would know.
Oh my god, dude! It was like the most. As a kid, flipping through the channels, because like channel 27 for me was like right before channel 32, which was TSN, which is around sometimes when they'll do like the late night recaps of wrestling. Because way back then, I used to watch a shit ton of that. And sure enough, I'm clicking. I'm like, that's a butt. Click. Wait, what? Go back.
That's a butt.
That's a boob. What? What is happening right now? Like my mind's blown. And like, back then I was fortunate enough to have a television in my room. And all I hear is like my parents walking by like, gotta get out of here.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
my
they ran
God.
usually from like 11:30 to like 2:30 in the morning, and then it would just die for like an hour, and then they'd restart on whatever their normal program was. So
But for
you
that,
just had to make sure. As soon as the parents went to bed, just wait a little bit. Okay, now the TV, let's go.
oh my god,
I didn't have that one, but we had an American dish, so I had the Red Shoe Diaries.
Oh my
I don't know if
god,
you
with
guys ever heard of that.
David Duchovny.
David Duchovny.
Yes, dude, that shit used to play in
Yeah.
Showcase as well.
Yeah, and it was
Oh
always
my
on late at
God.
night. Same
Yep.
thing.
Colin, you seem mesmerized right now.
I am completely lost. You guys are talking about an entire world, an entire way of discovering this that I have
This
never
is before
experienced
internet
in my
porn.
life.
Exactly.
And that's what you got.
That's all I know, and that's all I've ever lived
Yeah.
with. I've
Okay,
We
always
so-
had to
had
actually
to
time our
do
lives
porn.
around porn. Now you can get it anytime you want.
Wait, maybe that's what
I'm
the
just
title.
spoiled
Maybe
for
that's the
choice.
title of the stream. This episode's gonna be it ties our lives around porn. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. This is actually an interesting idea. Do you think? So Colin, you're actually within that age group, so this will affect you, but also goes to the younger generation. Do you think that kids nowadays, or teenagers, like young adults, and all that jazz, are spoiled or more desensitized to the idea of eroticism because now their early access to all that stuff is straight up just hardcore porn?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. 100%. I've seen trends on TikTok and on YouTube of like people who are quite younger already being like dealing with ED and shit like that because they're so spoiled by porn that the real shit doesn't work anymore.
Yep.
It's legitimately a thing.
And it wasn't like you had that softcore outlet that we had with Blue Nuit or Red Shoe Diaries. It's fucking anal right away.
Well, yeah.
And there's no filter. Like that's the first thing on the screen. So
Exactly.
that's
I remember
normal.
the first porno I ever watched, Anal Rampage 7. Oh my
And like chat was talking about this earlier. Like for a lot of the Americans too, they had the Girls Gone Wild. Girls Gone Wild. The commercials.
Gone wide?
Why? I mean,
mean,
some
not
of
wrong.
them can. I'm not gonna judge.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is this idea of like, even then, like Will had softcore porn and everything, but now, yeah, it's this idea of like the desensitization that a lot of people have. It blows my mind. And you talking about the ED thing makes me laugh because I made a tweet a couple of days ago, just kind of joking about like getting older and stuff, or like two of those things were true, two of those things were lies, or was it only one thing? I don't know. And it was like, man, I'm like, I got a potential torn shoulder, I got plantar fasciitis, which is like a fucked up foot, ED and hemorrhoids. I'm like, man, getting old is tough. Like, it's hard on the body. And then I get a message from someone. It was Pimp, Pimp of Games. You guys know him from the Discord. I play games with him, usually Siege and stuff. But then he sends me a message, and I'm like, I am kind of curious if this man's being serious anymore. But it's like he just straight up asks, like, wait, I just saw your tweet. Your dick broke? I'm just like, I just write like, and then I just write like ... And he's like, unless you meant something other than erectile dysfunction with ED. And I just reply again ... He's like, you're dodging the question. How bad? Like, as a joke, he's like, how is bedtime gonna be fun anymore? And then like I don't really reply, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, like, does he? For a second, I'm like, does he not realize? Like, I'm hoping he understands it's a joke. Like, just like your body falls apart when you get older. But then I'm sitting there and I'm like, what?
It happens early sometimes.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna judge anyone. Like, 100%. Like, I am waiting to go bald. My dick's gonna fall off. I'm gonna have left some saggy, wrinkly balls.
It's just gonna drop right off.
That's what happens when you get old.
Yeah, apparently. About 60, just gone.
Just fall off. Oh, look, yeah, Lib's back from the dead now. Like I told you, he's gonna come back from the step. So I told him the truth, Lib, that you stubbed your toe and you died. If you came back, whatever. But don't worry about it. This is boomer talk now.
That's what the paddles are for, isn't it? Just put the paddles on the toe and you're good.
I'm sorry, did you put the pedal?
What?
Yeah, the paddle right on the toe.
All you did there was just jerk off two dicks. That's all you just did.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you do it, right?
Yeah,
that's how you get that in and the electricity and
no. Look, you're the electrician. You tell me, Michael.
What do you think I do at work all day? Like, come on.
Apparently a lot of this.
Yeah, exactly.
God damn. It is funny to make me realize that out of the four of us here, we have two people who actually have, like, Tom, are you registered? Not registered. That sounds weird. But you're a licensed millwright, correct?
Yes.
Michael, you're an electrician, and then we have Colin and myself, who graduated from Angela College with a degree, or not a degree, not even a fucking diploma in, what do you even call a bachelor's? It's not even a bachelor's, right?
No, it's not a bachelor's.
Yeah, just a diploma in fucking television production or TV broadcasting and film production. And I just sat there and I realized like where we got where we are now to come together, and it baffles my mind to think about how the path that we've taken. Sorry, I'm like, it sounds like as if I'm high right now, but it's this idea of like Colin and I met when I went back to school because I'd stopped university because the course that they were promising wasn't what it was. I wouldn't have done that if I wouldn't have lost my job as a PA for or no, sorry, I wouldn't have lost my job as a sales manager for the martial arts academy that I would have had. And it's this idea of like, if I would have continued on the same path that I could have, I might have ended up like Michael or Tom, good jobs, like stable stuff. But now here I am in London, working at the I can't say where because they're fucking nuts, and I'll explain some of that stuff later too.
No.
And the bullshit that's happened to me, but at the same time, the good that's crossed over it, because Tracy's now good in school. She's graduating this year. She's literally on her final week is next week. And we have 2 kids now. We're in a shitty townhouse, which I have updates on the townhouse.
Oh.
And it just kind of like this connectivity of things that have happened, and it just. Sorry, this moment. I just had this like moment of clarity. I'm like, all the shit that we've gone through to get us here, and I'm like, would I have changed any of it? No. I don't think I would have. I think I'm actually happy exactly where I'm at doing this stuff here, having met all the people that I've met online as well. Like, it's this idea of like these little connective tissues that have created this giant new path for my wife and I to take. Like launching SSN as an actual business and stuff too. It's crazy.
Nice.
Well, I'm actually kind of jealous because I wish I would have went to school for something fun. My job sucks. I can do it, but it sucks.
I'm right there with you, Tom. Same thing, man. Working for the man sucks.
Hey, look, okay, there's nothing more than the man than where I'm working right now, where I'm technically have a government job, okay? And,
Yeah, but you also have this potential side,
What do you mean
right? That you
potential?
can become the man.
What do you mean?
Versus me and Tom, there ain't no potential. It's
Yeah.
either the man or nothing.
Or
right?
you're
like
here,
what-
motherfucker, doing this, and this grows, and this explodes and stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Then you'll be the man.
No, I am not going to be the man, okay?
Okay, fine. You'll be the bitch, and we'll be the men. Gotcha.
Fine, that's fine. I don't care. At least then I can
We'll
sue
bend
you
you
guys and
over.
make more money. Oh my God. All right, but yeah, speaking of the government, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about, kind of touch on, and they're actual serious talk, and this is going to be specifically towards the province of Ontario, where all four of us live. So the COVID cases, even though they are launching out the vaccine very slowly and very pathetically, in my honest opinion, the COVID cases here in Ontario have actually increased. And we went from a quote unquote like a normal lockdown to a more extensive one that's going to last until May 20th, I think. So after the May long weekend here in Canada.
I thought they extended that by 2 weeks again.
Yeah, so that's going to end. Yeah, so yeah, that will last until May 20th. So originally it was going to last pretty much all through April and a little bit at the beginning of May, but now I guess it's going to stretch all the way pretty much almost until the end of May.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's this idea of like some of you guys, if you guys have read it, I mean here, it's good, but just kind of keep you guys informed, and how I honestly want to give like a lot of our thoughts on it about what's happening, and some of the changes or the tightening that they've done. And one of them being this is an article straight from the CTV News Toronto, and it was written by Miriam Katawazi, so I'm going to be grabbing the highlights from it, but if you guys want to check it out, just CTV Toronto, and then we'll get the research done there. But this is talking about the stay-at-home orders specifically, so it's to talk about the outdoor restrictions and everything else that's going on. So the outdoors gathering and limited, finally, they're saying that you can't go outside. You can't go unless, again, this is dumb, unless it's for exercise, or if you have to go to the grocery store or the pharmacy, which those two I'm fine with, sort of. We'll talk about that again a little bit. Outdoor recreational amenities such as golf, basketball courts, and playgrounds are closed, which I'm okay with.
About time.
Yeah. So the retail capacity has been slashed. So this is talking about the hours. Non-essential stores are going to be open from 7 a.m. and can be open no later than 8 p.m. The capacities for those stores are going to be limited to 25%. Now, this is where there's a gray area because the big stores might have more leniency towards that, and I think that's again, we'll talk about that. Places of worship starting Monday, the capacities of weddings, funerals, and other religious services are going to be limited to 10 people indoors and outdoors. Drive-in services will be permitted. Then non-essential construction. The government says non-essential construction will close, including construction at shopping malls, hotels, and office towers. The province says it launched an enhanced province-wide inspection campaign of construction sites, whatever. That part doesn't really matter. The other big one here is new enforcement measures. So this is going to be what the police can do. For the first time in Ontario since the pandemic starting Saturday, police officers will have the authority to require people to provide their home address and purpose for not being at the residence. Police can also have the authority to stop a vehicle to inquire about an individual's reason for leaving their residence. Provincial offenses officers will also be visiting over 500 workplaces this weekend in the COVID-19 hotspots of Ottawa, Toronto, and the York region. The visits will include big box stores, food processors, manufacturers, and warehouses. That last part is going to be interesting for Colin and myself, because we both work in warehouses right now. And I just want to talk about how they've also closed off campgrounds They have the right to do spot checks for COVID it's COVID spots. And oh my god, I this was going to be another conversation where we're going to go there eventually, but I just want to talk about your thoughts on how this lockdown has started, how it's currently going, and what you want to see changed and what you think could be improved upon. I'm going to open the floor. Whoever wants to go first can go ahead and go first.
Well, it's frustrating having to still go through all these lockdowns when it's like we could have had the harsher lockdown at the start, and that would have really slowed down the number of cases. So then we wouldn't have to. This wouldn't be necessary up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have had to do this if we had lockdown properly the first time without people, protesting, being anti-maskers, and spreading their bullshit.
Anyone else?
I mean, they should have been just probably harsher to start, but I don't know. How do you do that in a society that basically says freedom is everything, right? Especially with the U.S. right next door, right? Then next thing you know, you start getting claimed you're being like China. Well, then things happen like we're now, and then they start being more like China, which is locking down even further, and then people get even more mad because it's way too late. So there's just no winning in this kind of situation. Now, what they should have done right off the bat, especially Trudeau, like this whole globalist mentality is terrible. Okay, because essentially what they said is, oh, we don't need to worry about a vaccine. Everybody else will make it, and then we'll just get some. Well, that really worked out well for us. Now, did it? Instead, what we should have said is okay, look, here's a bunch of money for all these pharmaceuticals in Canada. Let's get our own vaccine going right now, right at the start. Lock down for like a month, mass test everybody in that month, and see what happens. Take all those people that have the positives, treat them, put them back out once they're treated, and then wait a little bit. Once cases, if they rise again, lock down again, mass test, and you keep doing that right up until the point where there's nothing left. Lock down the border completely, right? Nobody comes in or out of the country. If you do that, or if they had done that, we probably would have been done this way earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that's essentially what China did. China basically said, okay, we got a problem. Everything gets shut. I mean, now they were going extreme and they were actually welding people into their houses, but that's a different story, right? But the idea is that they said, no, everything gets shut down. Everybody gets mass tested, and we're going to make our own vaccine. We're going to spend the money. 3 different pharmaceuticals. They got 2 vaccines, I think, that they've made, right? How effective they are, I mean, that's not for debate. But the idea is that's what they did. And only now we're trying to do that.
Yeah.
Right? It's like way too late. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you can't be saying to people in a free society like this, oh, you got to do this, because we've just finished telling people for, I don't know, 20 plus years that, well, it's your choice. You get to make choices. You're the adult. You get to be free in this society. And then to go and take that away, you can't expect anything but protests and anti this and anti that, and people getting fed up. I mean, I'm fed up, but I'm fed up mostly as a parent. All right, my kids can't come stay at school or stay home from school. Like, they need school. I need school. Okay, I need them to go to school so I can work. Because if I'm not working, I'm not making money. And if I'm not making money, who's feeding the kids? Right? So, and I mean, I'm sure all these people that are teachers, they need the money too. I'm sure they're not getting paid staying home either, right? Well, besides the whole online thing. But I mean, it's such a waste of time now at this point. And we've shot ourselves in the foot at the start. And now we're just trying to saw off that foot in order to keep walking, because it's better to saw it off instead of walking on the pain, right?
Yeah. The big problem here is, like, Sault Ste. Marie, we don't have a whole lot of cases here. It's maybe, I think we've had like 60 or something during all of it. But if you wanted to go get a test, you have to have a reason. You can't just get tested for the sake of it. You have to have a reason. You have to have symptoms. You have to have something. What the hell?
Exactly.
It's a fucking pandemic.
Yeah.
Test everybody. If someone wants a test, fucking do it.
It's also the idea, right, of people being asymptomatic, which means they could be a carrier and they don't even know. And if they don't have the right to get themselves tested, it kind of defeats the purpose. You know what I mean? Because now they sit down with this sickness that they don't even know that they have, and then they'll spread it to others. And it is that idea that it'll just gradually grow and grow and grow. I think honestly, so a couple things. What should happen now is something that should have happened a long time ago, which is the New Zealand approach, which I believe is also like the Italy approach, which was quite literally they shut down the entire country, right? And I know that's a big. I know New Zealand versus Canada is there's so many more people. It doesn't matter. What needed to have happened was, and I mean everything. The only thing that should have been running at this time would have been emergency service vehicles, like obviously responders. So your firefighters, your police officers, your medics, all that. All of those people should have been the only ones who would have been working at this point. Oh, and people who have dependencies. Which again, I go down the idea of the medical department. So yes, unfortunately, the LCBO would still be open, but it would literally be reserved to people who have alcohol dependencies, people who are addicted, and if without the alcohol, they would crash and burn, or find a better solution where it is like either home delivered or you need a doctor's note, something written and explained as to why you need this thing, so that is a limited amount of people going into the stores, which then reduces the risk of any kind of spread. Again, they shut everything down for those 2 weeks, and now New Zealand and Australia are they're like almost 0% infection rates. People are literally able to live their lives again because they shut down for a short period of time. I'm not saying we shut down for a month. At this point, maybe we need to. I think at this point we might have to shut down for like 2 weeks to a month. And during that time, this is a big government push. So it's not just provincial. This would be nationwide, and the federal government would have to approve this. Obviously, it'd be the idea of there are no bills that need to be paid, there are no wages that are lost, or if you have to pay bills and all that stuff, the government will need to pay its citizens during this time of need, which is enough to pay for food, pay for your bills, your hydro, and all that shit, which honestly most of that stuff is owned by the federal government, so they could actually just not charge us during that time and just have an exemption. And for businesses who need to have money to survive, if you needed to, you can literally give them because the leases and all that, you freeze the leases for that time, for that rent, and you go on from there, as long as people don't leave the goddamn house. That's the biggest thing, right? And then you go from there, and you can literally give them a 2 weeks notice. Be like, start right now, starting May 1st. We are locking down the entire country. If you're to leave the house and it's not an emergency, yes, you will be charged with something. And that's that. And just to see at this point what if it would help, because right now what we're doing now as a country, especially in Ontario, is not working. We have people that are going out. I think they estimated in May, almost on a daily case, I think we're gonna have up to 18,000 fucking cases of COVID. Right now we're in the 5,000 mark in Ontario, and I know that might not be big in the States, like the States is bigger numbers, but also the state is a bigger country population wise. We're a population of maybe 40 million people. 5,000 a day is huge, especially for a province which Ontario is supposed to be quote unquote like the prime example of Canada. Like this is where the capital of our country is here, and we're pardon.
And our biggest city.
Yeah, and some of our biggest cities with Toronto and Ottawa and all that. And we can't as a province properly find a way to show confidence and the ability to protect our citizens with this time, with everything's going on. And like you said, with the anti-maskers and all that, this idea of not allowing these gatherings should have been implemented at the beginning. If you didn't want to do a full lockdown, an actual full lockdown, it should have been the idea of like you could only gather up to 10 people at most, and have cops. Yes, you have to pay them over too fucking bad. They need to do it. Have cops in these central park areas or these areas where people will populate and stop them from doing it. It's my mind. It boggles me as to how we have let this slip.
But it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work because how we structured our economy, our society, everything. You would never be able to do that.
Again, people say
a lot of different places. Yeah. Italy, New Zealand, the structures, the mindset, New Zealand especially, their whole cultural mindset is on coexistence, not on the mighty dollar. Okay, over here, especially in North America, it's all about that mighty dollar. Period. Police, forget the police, man. You know what they mostly protect? They mostly protect property, not people. Okay, if you look at the majority of stuff that they've done, especially when it comes to, especially even around here in Sarnia, you get them to call out. They already know all the criminals. Okay, they know them all, and they're only interested when it comes to a big business that gets hit. Okay, and I know that because I work in the security business, right? So I know what happens in all these cases. So it's like you can't do it. You can't do it because as soon as we even introduced some lockdowns, look at what happened. People got pissed. Yeah, okay, we kind of rolled over a little bit. We got pissed because we don't like the idea of being locked down. We don't. We're supposed to be a free society. Well, then we look at Sweden. Look at Sweden. What did they do for the all this stuff? They did nothing. Right? They're the opposite extreme. They let everything just go rampant.
Neutral. Bastards.
So what do you do? Right? In a society like ours, where essentially we have to work, people need to be working. We have to have grocery workers. We have to have people like me that are working in security because they have to have those security systems working, or else guess what? People aren't going to get dispatched properly for certain things. So then you keep adding all these things, you'll never lock down anybody.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing. Like China, okay, again, China, they can do that. You know why? Because their structure is all based on the government is everything. Okay? Pretty much nothing goes through unless the government either knows about it or okays it. Right? So yeah, they can send everybody home, say, forget you, we'll just send you money, which they did. Not very much, but they did some, right? And it worked for them in some way, shape, or form. Arguably, there's probably some back end stuff we don't know about because it's China, right?
Yeah.
But in a free society like ours, especially with the length of time we've been, you're just going to have problems, right? Because we have to work. If we don't work, the economy collapses. The economy collapses, nobody's getting money. If nobody gets money, nobody's getting fed. Nobody's getting anything done, right? And then down the rabbit hole we go.
What needs to happen then, it is this unfortunate idea of bite the bullet, rip the Band-Aid, and we have to just theoretically lock it down. Just no matter what, that or invest more money into these vaccine pushes. Something, again, we should have happened a long time ago.
That's the biggest thing.
That should have been allowed, because now like we're finally on phase 1 now. After everything, we're finally starting phase 1 in April, which I believe is the elderly and essential medical workers. I think are the ones that are getting it right now. Then phase 2 is in June, which is the phase that I am able to participate in, fortunately, which is other essential workers and I think general public. I believe that's phase 2 is the general. But again, think about that in a case that is growing to this day, where like my wife Tracy, she has a grandmother who's inside of Pioneer Manor. That's a old folks home in Sudbury. And they went from a full outbreak to not almost zero, but like reduced it greatly to again another full, almost 100% outbreak in Pioneer Manor. And these are old folks who are not leaving the fucking house. Like they're not leaving the center.
That you think of.
But it's not them, right? It's either the family visiting or it's the nursing staff. It's them. And because these poor bastards, the nursing staff, are getting work so hard because of everything that's going on, they're like on almost 24-hour shifts. They're not leaving the fucking building. They're sleeping there. Same thing with the hospitals, where like the hospitals are now being so overrun with patients of COVID-19 or symptoms like. They're forced to just not leave, which then means their higher chance of infection increases, which then spreads it to other people who may not have been sick, who are there for other reasons, who now just get worse. It's my grandmother who passed away in December. This is a prime example. It was in December, and at that point in the Sudbury hospitals, the emerge was almost overflowing with COVID patients because they got severe, right? Like potential cases and whatnot. And some of the things that happened there, I can't talk about it too much because there's legal issues happening with that. But because of how overworked the staff got, mistakes were made, and it potentially may have cost my grandmother her life. And now it's this idea of these are things that should have been taken care of and taken care of and calculated a long time ago. And it's just overall, it is disappointing.
But that's not how our society works. But not anymore. It's all about short-term gains, long-term. Like, who cares about the long term? If you can save money now, and that's what the healthcare system is. Yeah. It's very much, how do we save money? How do we save money now? And you know what? all that long-term planning stuff, all that crisis planning stuff. Oh, we don't need that. We haven't had a crisis in forever. What's the chances? SARS happened over in Asia. That'll never happen here. H1N1. Oh, it wasn't a big deal. So we're good. Yeah, and then next thing you know, we get hit with something like this, and then all of a sudden we got nothing ready, right? It's just like the whole thing with the oil sands when they had those fires. They took money out of the emergency fund for just in case crap happens in Alberta, and they dipped into it. And then when they needed the money to help all those people in Fort McMurray, they ain't got nothing, right? That's what I'm saying. Is this whole North American society? It's impossible to deal with a crisis like this properly because we've screwed ourselves mentally, culturally, economically, just what we've done and how we built our society. And you know what? When it's perfect, it works great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against it. It's just when things hit the fan and then we're thinking to ourselves, well, what happened? Why is it so bad here? We can't because we've literally done it to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I think we can still. I think we can still expect a little bit better though. The way things have been going. It's the way you've been talking about it. It sounds a little defeatist. A little. Well, this is the way our society works. I think we can still expect a little bit better.
So
we should still be angry at our government for its failures, and we should still be pushing pushing for. Yeah,
I'd agree with you. Except for who's the people that are the politicians and who are getting in power.
Which we're not going to get too heavily involved.
I'm just saying, it's just you can't until that changes. Even there's no changing it. Like that's what I mean.
That is
we're just rolling over.
That's some dangerous ground to step into when we start going to politics.
The last thing I'll say though is that we need to. People need to be more politically literate about the way our government works and do a better job of holding politicians accountable. Yeah, that's the last thing I'll say about it.
All right. Now, speaking kind of still on the idea of the COVID-19, but more of the post-COVID, okay? In a world where everything gets 100% healed, everything's good to go,
So Mad Max?
No, I'm not talking about Mad Max. Potential. I mean, it could be.
It's 2021, though.
Like theoretically,
I can't wait to drive around with a flaming guitar.
Right? Well, you're not playing it right, and it's just like you're burning yourself with it. Oh my god! But it's the idea of like. Right now, we live in a world where we wear masks when we're sick. We're paranoid of other people being ill. Most workplaces won't even ask questions when you're sick. They just say, whatever, go home, like stay home, don't worry about it. Okay, post COVID, and mine. Post COVID, what do you think? What do you think the norm's going to be now? Do you think the norm's going to be people are still when they're sick they're going to be wearing masks? Are we going to ostracize those people for wearing the masks? Do you think that there's going to be a more greater emphasis on being ill and staying home and not going to work? Do you think there's going to be any changes at all?
No,
very slightly for the next maybe like 5 years, and then it's always going to like go back to very normal.
I bet you have people that are wearing masks from now on when they're out.
Yeah,
look at China. They were doing it long before.
Yeah, China, Japan,
happened, right?
Yeah.
And
but that's because they had SARS, right? And that's really what did it for them. SARS was their. Yeah, no, but we didn't have it as bad.
No, but it's still a thing, and people are afraid now. People have the fear in them, right? So they're gonna I bet you see a lot of mask wearers around,
and that'll be the norm, right? Like people won't look at you weirdly because, like, I know, like, again, in Canada, some of our Asian population when they're sick or if they're worried about sickness, they will just wear masks and they'll walk in public. And when I was younger, even just a couple of years ago, I'd be like, "Oh, that's kind of weird. Like, why are you wearing a mask? What's going on?" But now, if I see that, I don't think I'm gonna think that way. I'm gonna be like, oh shit, all right, cool. They're protecting themselves and or others by wearing that mask. And it is that idea of now the wearing the mask is not a novelty. It's not this weird perception for people. And I'm just curious now with work, will work not be as much of a hard ass on people when they're calling in sick because they're not feeling well with the scares that we've had recently? And Colin, you were saying that it's going to be like you think it's going to be like a momentary amount of like peacetime, we'll say?
Yeah, just a little, because it's going to be fresh on people's minds, so they're going to take it seriously for the next little bit, but then like they're going to fall back. People are going to fall back in their old habits, generally.
I'd agree with that generally, but I think the mask wearing thing is going to happen, especially in workplaces. You're going to see more of it happening, especially from what, like, how I do things now, right? When I get to a job site, first thing I do is the mask's on.
Yeah.
Right? Even before I hop out of the truck. And whether I'm outside or not, it's just on because it's the automatic, it's part of the PPE that I wear, safety boots, mask on, boom, we go into the place. We go into, it doesn't matter what it is, right?
Yeah.
Some people will do like they do now with hard hats at construction sites. They get to these construction sites supposed to have a hard hat, they take it off, right? Like you'll still have that going on, but I think in general, you'll see more of like what's happening in Asia where they're more serious about, masks is an actual thing that exists in society normally now versus it being like, oh, well, look at that guy wearing a mask. That's kind of
Now
weird.
it's the opposite. You see someone out without a mask, and you're like, "Hey, look at you, asshole!"
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck is wrong with you, right? Like,
who do you think you are?
Yeah. Apparently, they go into a bad Brooklyn accent. What's the matter with you?
What's the matter with you? But no, I think I agree about eventually. It's humanity is very much like that. We're very much things happen and we forget. Eventually, we start forgetting, right? Until something happens. Is
it that we forget or we become complacent?
Oh, we forget because we don't know what it. Okay, it's kind of like both. Okay, because you can remember what happened in the past. You can remember it.
Pepper charge,
but that doesn't mean that you won't repeat it because you haven't experienced it. Right? And because you don't have that experience, you're just like, wow, well, okay, it happened in the past. A, it'll probably never happen now. Or B, it couldn't have been that bad. We should do it now. Right? Kind of thing. It's like World War II. Let's go into a World War II example, which is kind of weird, right? It happened. It's not that far back. But it seems like everybody is kind of, minus the older people, kind of forgotten about, like, look at Remembrance Day. It's not as big of a deal anymore. Look at all the news about Russia, China, and the U.S. and getting into basically minor scraps in order to be the dominant, right? We're slipping back into the things we already learned, right? And it's because we and even, I don't know, think of anything you guys have done in life, right? You end up doing again because you're just like, oh, well, I already know that, but you end up forgetting, you get into these bad habits again, and boom, next thing you know, problem repeats.
So pretty much it's the idea of those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it, but in this case it's we did learn, we just don't give a shit. Down
yeah, well, eventually we just don't hear it. It's like my kids, right? My kids will never know what it was to experience TV like I did, right? Because they got TV all the time.
Yeah.
So they're gonna, if they ever have an interruption with their TV, they're gonna freak out, right? Just like we did, right? But we learned to deal with the commercials. We learned to deal with all those things, whereas they didn't.
Right? Dial up.
Oh. Yeah. Exactly.
All right. So this is from Zach, microbiologist here, because he is about to become a doctor. All right, a scientist. Ooh. Yeah, this man here, Zach.
Smart man.
So yeah, microbiologist here. The STEM field will remember this and will try to stop it from happening again. And will then just get blamed again for some random shit. Okay, like how this happened.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So that is an idea. So I was just very curious to see if you guys thought anything else would change. Yeah, I think the mask is kind of like the basic of one that people will just kind of accept now, and it's not. That's kind of the new norm. But do you think COVID's gonna start making it like, I know they did this on Grey's Anatomy already, and I only know this because fucking Tracy watches that garbage. But they started playing with COVID-19 in the show, where Grey got the COVID. Oh my god, what's gonna happen with Grey? But I'm very curious. Do you think down the line, within the next few years, are we gonna see movies talk about it or even reference it? Will you see like in the movie, not even talk about COVID, but like just they will have a mask on because they went out into public, and then they come home and they take the mask off? Do you think that's going to be a thing that you're going to see, or is Hollywood going to try to just not forget, but ignore those kind of world events?
I think that you're going to definitely see some references to it. You're eventually going to get to the point where, like, in rom-coms, you're going to have characters talking like, oh, so what did you do during COVID? Oh, during lockdown. And this is like, it's just going to be like a conversational thing that's going to come up every now and again.
Okay.
But the thing is, with entertainment, don't you kind of want to forget about that part of your life? Like, this is the thing what we want it to be over.
Yeah.
So would studios capitalize on that, and people really don't want to see that? Or would they rather see something that's like, this is what real life should be again?
Okay.
I don't think it'll be a direct reference, but they're gonna just do like all these other movies like Contagion, Pandemic. What was that other one about H1N1? Right, where it's like the crisis kind of movie, and it's references to what COVID is without calling it COVID.
I could see
So
that for sure. Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
and that's what they've done before, many times.
Okay, so you brought up a good point. Parasite. Will's going off on a bunch of them now. You brought up a good point, and I want to talk about this. This is actually kind of a cool segue. It's a depressing segue, but it's a cool segue. Has anyone been watching The Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yes.
I have. I watched the newest episode just earlier today.
Yes. Okay.
Me too.
All right. So it's funny that you talk about like in entertainment. Do you want to go ahead and that you want to forget about these things?
To an extent.
But this is actually a good point where there are certain artists or directors and writers who can actually tastefully show the dark side of things and actually make you feel and think about it. And that's one of the things that's happening in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, for the last couple of episodes, they kind of didn't really make reference of it, but they brought it back hard in episode 5 that just happened. And again, no spoilers, don't worry. But they do touch again on the unfortunate racism there is towards black people in the States or even around the world in general, though, with how people of different colors and skin or eyes or features can't be accepted. And again, they kind of touch upon around the idea of a black Captain America. And I think they beautifully, when they came back to it, I was afraid that they're just kind of like tack onto it again. But my God, that is... when they talk about that stuff, that show is one of my favorite shows because they don't hold back.
They are doing it very tastefully. They are talking about it in a serious way that doesn't... It's serious, but it doesn't feel too heavy.
Yeah.
And it's being done very tastefully, and it's being done in a way that really does help develop the characters of the show. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it really does develop Sam Wilson and everyone else.
And they're one more episode away, right? And then it's the series finale, right? Okay.
I think the next one is the series finale.
Yeah. That's next week. I think what also on a side note, we should have a special Snatum, but we'll do it on actually next week. No, next week we got to do Mortal Kombat Annihilation. So we might have a double feature where on Saturday.
We're doing that tomorrow.
No, so not Mortal Kombat Annihilation, Mortal Kombat 2021. Excuse me.
Oh, that's that's right. I forgot it came out that soon.
Yeah. So next week we have that on Sunday. So the next Saturday it'll be like a SSN podcast / Snatum where we're gonna just sit down and talk about all of Captain, I always want to call him Captain Falcon. Falcon.
Captain Falcon Punch.
Look, I'm not that far off. Okay, I'm not that far off. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think we should have a sit down and literally discuss the show episode per episode. Even talk about episode 6 on next Saturday. Be warned. All right.
So I have to watch it now.
Yes. Also,
do it.
Speaking of being warned, I gotta talk about today's sponsor. Boom! There it is. Thank you with the tongue sticking out there, Colin.
I never know what to do when it's like we gotta let you keep talking, so I just don't know what to do with myself. I'm still taking up a quarter of the screen. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, no, that's fine. All right, so let's see. Okay, there was something else. Oh yeah, Colin, you had posted the video trailer for Army of the Dead, a Zack Snyder, David Bautista flick that's coming out on Netflix itself.
Yes.
Has everyone here watched it? Okay.
I watched it just before the show.
Okay, good. I mean, that's good. It's fresh in your mind. I don't know if I watched that one directly, but I think I might have watched the second one. But again, I mean, it gives you the idea of what it is. Okay. So this isn't a sequel, obviously, to Dawn of the Dead.
It's like a spiritual sequel, I think.
Yeah, right? And is it just...
Why?
Oh, what's up, Tom?
Why do you think that?
It's called Of the Dead, and I'm zombie. I'm assuming that it's kind of in the same universe, maybe.
I would say it's definitely. Why wouldn't it be a sequel?
Yeah, exactly. I think the same thing.
Well,
I think it's its own.
Well, so here's the thing. So normally anything that's of the dead, so whatever, like Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, anything that's of the dead tends to be inside of a connected universe. And this being Zack Snyder's return to the Of the Dead series, because he did the remake for Dawn of the Dead, right?
Yeah. Oh, maybe. Yeah.
So there's a potential chance that this could have been either an actual sequel or maybe just a spiritual successor to that series. but I'm trying to remember in Dawn of the Dead, it was slow-moving zombies, right? They weren't runners, or were they runners in Dawn of the Dead?
No, they were fast in that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So then this could be considered a potential sequel / without actually talking, without any direct naming of the series, right? Because that Dawn of the Dead was published by who distributed that? That Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, I can't remember.
I'm gonna double check right now.
Lionsgate.
Dawn of the Dead 2014. Was it Lionsgate?
I think. I'm just guessing though.
It's not giving me what I want. View. Oh, no, I don't want to watch it. I want to know who the fuck did this. All right. But anyways, talk about the trailer for a hot second while I try to figure out who distributed this.
Yeah, but I'm excited for it. Even no matter what, it looks like a bunch of just mayhem and madness and chaos, and I'm excited in all the best ways.
I don't want to watch that trailer.
Universal Pictures. Universal Pictures.
Was it?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
yeah, I don't know. It's something I try and watch for sure. Especially having watched all the other ones. You know, I always enjoy a nice zombie movie that's piques my interest, especially this one. I mean, they're a little bit more organized, it seems, based on the trailer, so that'll be interesting to see. Well, and it's Las Vegas, so you're going to see some really interesting outfits.
So here's my thing with that, right? So what I've been trying to figure out with this one, this is Zack Snyder at probably at his peak performance right now. I think it's safe to say. Like everything that he's released up till now, like your 300s, Watchmen, Sucker Punch, his Snyder cut, everything else has led to this point, right? But when you look at the trailer thus far, it seems a little restrained in the sense that the coloration, it's very not, usually Zack Snyder, like he pops with his colors, like you feel it. It's either like dark and stark or bright and like in your face. It feels like on this one, it's almost down the middle. Now the action
you gotta
shots,
have the dark and the desert, so you gotta have the light. I thought the lighting looked great.
So I think it looks good, but I just think that it doesn't look like his traditional films that he's made in the past, right? Like look at Sucker Punch, right? Sucker Punch, it's heavy on like the greens and the blues and like the lighting of the atmosphere. You look at 300. 300 is very more about the yellows and like a little bit more desaturation. You look at Batman v Superman. That is very toned down color wise, right?
Very dark.
It makes me think that this one, I was curious to see was he the one behind the camera? Was he the one trying to be the cinematographer on this one? Was he the one was he really pushing that? Or did Netflix say like, dude, just direct it and write it or whatever it is he's doing? Because is he the writer for this one? Or is he just the director?
I don't know if he was the writer, but I do know that he is, on this one at least, his own cinematographer.
Okay.
So he doesn't have a cinematographer working with him. He's his own. He's directing and being the cinematographer, which is very common.
Netflix just threw money right at him. Yeah. Make me a zombie movie.
The bucket, they just dump it on his head.
There you go. I'll have it.
I mean,
WB's treating you like shit. We'll give you some fucking money.
If there's anybody you're gonna throw money at for that, it's Zack Snyder. Let's face it.
Budget is 70 to 90 million. He's a cinematographer, and it's his story. So even though he might not have been the writer of the script, but it is his story, and he's the director.
We are getting unfiltered Schneider goodness.
Yeah,
is it a real life story? It's a real life story of his time in Vegas. Is that what you're telling me?
No.
Exactly.
But like it is this idea of like it's I don't know, I'm looking at the screenshots and stuff, and it just doesn't look like his normal colorful self. What it does have though are those crazy like 360 footage, like shoot around him like with the zombies and the action shots. There's a lot of that that's been very surprising with that, which fuck yeah, I think this movie, if it is within the Dawn of the Dead, like spiritually, because I don't think you can call it a direct sequel to Dawn of the Dead because that is owned by Universal. I don't know if Universal still has the rights for it, whatever. But if it's a spiritual successor, this is like a high octane version of what he thinks the zombie apocalypse is going to be. Because again, it's this tight, contained, literal town just full of with a zombie tiger, for Christ's sake.
That's sick.
Did not expect a zombie tiger. What the fuck, man.
I feel like this movie is just Zack Snyder just having fun.
Yeah.
You know, because with Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, it was all kind of somewhat darker and more serious. Even 300 and Watchmen are very serious. But I feel like he's going the sucker punch route of just trying to have fun with making his movie.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
One thing I'm wondering,
What's up?
the money. Why would money have value during a zombie apocalypse?
So here's the thing: it is no longer a zombie apocalypse. That part has passed from the looks of it of the story. So now it's like society has rebuilt itself, and this dude knows there's a bunch of money in this city, which contains, I don't know if it's the last zombies in the world in the United States, but we'll say theoretically it's like the last quote unquote stronghold full of zombies.
Okay.
So it's like it is a idea of like a Suicide Squad mission to get the money, because you know that big of a cast, people are dying. Like I'm looking at the picture right now, and holy shit, there's a lot of people that could potentially die here. It's gonna be nutty to see. Like there's also some characters, some actors who I've never seen before, at all.
Oh shit! I'm looking at the Wikipedia now. I see Theo Rossi from Sons of Anarchy is in it. Oh shit, Juice.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be. Then there's also the that dude who got was he in a lot of trouble? Chris D'Elia. Didn't he get in trouble?
Yep, Chris D'Elia. Yeah, he was involved with some 15 to 17-year-old girls, I think.
And
something like that. So they CGI'd him out of the movie and replaced him with an actress.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, they actually did. They straight up fully replaced Chris D'Elia with Tig Notaro.
Is it easier to CGI out a person or a mustache?
In all reality, the person.
Probably the person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, right? Because a person it's a full frame, you can just remove. It's simple as that. When it's a mustache, there's morphing involved. There's like you have to frame by. Yeah, it's much harder to hide a mustache than it is clearly.
In that case, you were ruining Henry Cavill's perfect face, and you can't mess with that. Face is perfection. You can't fuck with that,
dude. Also, on a side note, I am pretty fucking psyched that apparently he's coming back as Superman. Apparently he's
not.
Fucking hope so.
Yes.
I'm seeing conflicting reports on that because there's also the J.J. Abrams one where they're gonna have a black Superman.
That's rumored. That's rumored.
It's true.
Also,
it's true. No.
They could do Elseworld. Tom knows what I'm talking about when I say that. Where they pretty much did that with the Batman with Robert Pattinson. That's a different Joker's another one. Because apparently Ben Affleck wants to come back to play Batman again.
I fucking hope they do. He's the best.
Yeah, he is the best. I agree.
So it is very interesting to me to figure out what exactly, because if they keep doing this way, and I hope to God DC has learned their lesson with their cinematic universe where you can't rush things, and it kind of feels like they did because with the release of the Snyder Cut, it's a good example of like this is what happens when a director takes his time with a franchise. In like 4 hours, if that's what the man needed, that's what the man needed. You know what I mean? But it is interesting to think about now. If they want to build up another big storyline, they could just throw in the Batman. They could throw in a fucking, if they wanted to, just a Black Adam, right? Which has nothing to do with the universe. Shazam could arguably not be attached to the DCEU. That could just be its own separate solo storyline. Same thing with this potential Black Superman thing. Or just do Steel. Do the death of Superman and make him play Steel. And then you can have all the other Supermen in there, right? You can have the Eradicator, you could have Superboy Prime, you could have Steel, but what's the other Cyborg Superman? Like there's so many other storylines you could do from that if you really wanted to.
Could you imagine Superboy Prime on live action? Oh.
Who would you want to play right now?
Happy.
Who would you want to play as Superboy Prime?
Oh,
right now, looking at the roster of people.
I don't know.
I have
no clue.
I have an idea. I'm gonna have to look at this kid's name. Hold on a second. Where are you? There's
how old is Superboy Prime about? Do you think
teenager, like early adulthood, like 20s and whatnot?
20s, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, like at the oldest to start him off.
but you gotta have someone who can make him like do a good psychopath eventually.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, so I know this would be breaking the rules of like cinematography, like of the world of like characters playing or playing actors playing different characters. But the kid who was in Star Wars: The Last Jedi, who I guess also played the Joker on Gotham.
Yeah, Cameron Monaghan.
Yeah. Honestly, like you make his hair black, I don't think it would be that bad. I think there's some good potential there.
Because he can be cocky. Cameron Monaghan.
I think that could be a fun one.
Yeah, could be. I don't know too many actors around that age right now that would fit the bill. I don't know.
Zach's got an idea, so let's see what Zach has to say. No, man, I don't pull from the chat that often, but if Zach, he was a personification of the plot. Talk to fanboy for coming back. All right, what? Who? Oh, wow. Oh, sorry. He was describing something. Never mind. That's my bad. I thought I misread that. But yeah, no, I know Tom, you're a big fan of Superboy Prime. He was like, I remember during the Green Lantern Core Wars and stuff, he was like the one guy like this fucking guy.
Yeah, Infinite Crisis, him tearing apart the Teen Titans, literally, was fucking awesome. Favorite villain ever, I would say. Well, in DC.
Okay, I just found one. He might be a little too old, but Dacre Montgomery. He was the shitty older brother in one of the seasons of Stranger Things, and he was also the lead in the Power Rangers movie.
Oh, that dude! Do you know what? Yeah! Because he's also built. He's got a good body already. Yeah, fuck, dude, that guy could... God damn, that guy, I could easily fucking play that character, 100%.
Yep. Stranger Things. Yeah, I could see him doing that.
Yeah, he definitely has a range to kind of go a little psycho with it, but you could also see him being the heroic, stereotypical superhero-looking guy. I can see it.
Oh yeah,
really that's a good one.
That would be I would love to see him do that. Holy shit. But yeah, then again, with this stuff, like I think DC, like I said, they can then also concentrate more and more on other storylines, and then if they want, they could end up by doing some kind of a much bigger, because like technically they did their final crisis with Zack Snyder's, technically kind of, right, with Flash, yeah. But now they could do if they did their final crisis, they could do an infinite crisis where you can actually have at some point all of these different worlds merging together, and then that's how you would reset the whole franchise, the whole DCU at that point, and then just restart from ground zero, which would be like 10 to 20 years down the road, and then you do your reboots, your remakes of of Batman, Superman, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's kind of the thing that Marvel's setting up right now with Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange, where now they've laid down the idea that Wanda can grab things from different universes. She has that kind of power. She can literally change reality as it is. That I'm assuming at some point they're going to get her to flip the switch like they did in the comics. And so in the comics, she got rid of all the mutants. Well, in this one, in the MCU, she's going to create the mutants. You know what I mean? And that's how you get that idea of how you introduce those characters into the show and stuff.
I can't wait for that movie. Oh, it's going to be all these MCU shit. I fucking love it. Yeah, absolutely love it.
As a nerd, as a lover of comics and stuff, we live in a prime time right now. The TV shows, like, I'm excited for Loki, dude. More Tom Hiddleston? Are you fucking kidding me? Yes, please. Like, was I disappointed that he wasn't in Godzilla vs. King Kong? Yes. Did it make sense that he wasn't there? Yes. Do I still want to see him in there? Yes. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit. The man will never fucking... Could I see him as fucking James Bond at this point? Yes. Actually, yes, I could. Yeah. A sleek, fucking suave James Bond, like almost like the Pierce Brosnan Bond, but more lethal? Fuck yes. Yeah. Give me more of that. Hunter, give me more Tom. That's what I would love to fucking see. Those are the things that I would... Oh, my God. Oh, my God. It'd be so good.
Today we learned that Larcher is a Hiddlestan.
Oh, my God. 100%. Are you kidding me? He was like... Before he became... Like, even before he became like the guy he was now, like the character that we know we love him as, Loki and stuff. All the other stuff that he's been in. He was in a horror film not that long ago with...
the Guillermo del Toro one?
Yes. I loved him in
Crimson
that.
Peak.
Thank you, Crimson Peak. I loved. He was my favorite character in Kong Skull Island. Like That and John C. Reilly. I think actually John C. Reilly had some fun comedic moments and had some heart in that film. It was amazing. But yeah, like he's this guy that I've been watching for a while, and I just want to see more of this, man. Are you kidding me? Like you could literally, if you were to tell me there's a stream where it's just Tom Hiddleston sitting down, staring at the camera for 12 hours, my ass is there for 12 hours, man. I can watch that man do nothing and be like riveted by him. It's amazing. Oh my god.
I'm a little afraid to see that your like internet history is just going to be you're going to have like a secret account of like Tom Hiddleston stan Twitter, stan YouTube account. You're just like making compilations of him. Tom Hiddleston cute moments.
Look, you don't have to call me out like that, but yes, I have the highest viewed TikTok account of just Tom Hiddleston stuff. Okay, all right.
Hilarious.
Tom Hiddleston fan cams.
No, dude. Speaking of fucking TikTok, so I finally started. I opened up a TikTok account, right? I created one, not for myself, but for SSN. And I have to admit, I posted the one video which it's inside of Discord right now, which is the whole like me trying to protect Barry, but then Lisa knocks me off the edge and I die, right? And I put a little bit of more comedic beats in that. That video on Instagram got about 25 views, maybe something like that. That obviously on the Discord is whatever. Like Discord is just the schmucks watching it, which is fine. But now on fucking TikTok, that thing has gone 512 views or 518 views.
Wow,
nice.
And it's this moment of like,
damn.
This as much as I hate to fucking admit it, TikTok has a much higher engagement rate than any other platform right now, because that's where everyone is. It's this insane thing. How to capitalize on that, I have no clue. Because as far as I could tell, when I made the account, because at the point I was just trying to lock down anything that we could use SSN for, not necessarily we're going to, but platforms that we know that if we became popular enough and other people wanted to just start to steal our identity, we could stop them from doing that, right? So like TikTok, I think it's officially, I think it's just like Twitter, it's officially SSN. Same thing for Instagram. I like any of the socials, I'm gonna try to keep it like that. Just it's officially SSN. And it was this idea of just doing that, and then I wrote the bio, and in the bio I'm like, all right, I'll just put on patreon.com/start network, just so that if people are interested and they want to support, they can go there. Well, without telling you what the community guidelines are, I got my account got frozen. And I'm like, what? Why? But nice. then it tells you, oh, because you broke the guidelines. I'm like, what guidelines? There was no explanation to what the guidelines were when you made up the account, and like it's not even a warning like, hey, you can't post links in your bio. Excuse me. It was nothing like that. It was just no, too bad. And then luckily they pretty much all they did was they stopped you from updating your profile for like a day, and then once that was done, I put the picture up. I wrote something else for that bio, and that was the end of it. But it is this moment that I've like. Do you think TikTok will stay? Do you think TikTok is now is the preferred choice? It's like the evolution of a Vine at this point, because a Vine 7 seconds, you move on to the next person. TikTok is about 30 seconds to a minute long at most. That's it, and then it moves on to the next thing. Its system is similar to Tinder, where you literally swipe up. Or like Tinder's left or right. They said swipe up, go to the next view, or go to and it's like it's randomly generating this content for you to watch, based off some certain specifications you set up on there, or whatever their highest viewed user is at that point. Like right now, there's that Canadian blonde-haired lady who like does all these different voices and has like little. When they pretend that she's a kid, she has like a little baby hand thing that does like it's actually that she's actually funny. Yeah, she actually makes me laugh, and it's awesome. Tracy was showing it to me a little while ago, and that she's brilliant, and she's actually on a conversation with Philip DeFranco on his YouTube channel, and it's like it just shows like how far this reach has gone, because now like you don't see Snapchat stars. You know what I mean?
No.
The Vine stars are gone, or they tried to make a career on YouTube, and unfortunately 2 of them are the Paul brothers. But it's this idea of like, is TikTok going to stay, or do you think it's going to go to the wayside of Snapchat, where like, I know Snapchat's still popular or it's used, but it's nothing like how it used to be.
Yeah, Snapchat was always different because it's more of a messaging service. Snapchat has tried to to like have its own content on it and that, but no one uses that. It's so basically it's kind of comparing apples and carts, Apple. Oh my god, you're kind of comparing apples and pickup trucks right there.
Yeah.
They're two different things, but I have no idea. I have no idea if TikTok's going to stay around because I'm really bad with predicting how they'll go.
Well, here's a good example, right? So we have technically 4 boomers, technically 1 mid boomer, 1 boom, 3 boomers. Okay, it's a service that we never I never would have used. I never would have thought about using this until I started doing this stuff. Like Michael, you don't have a TikTok account.
I can't stand social media in general. Like, I just can't do it. Who's got time for that, in my opinion? But anyways.
Me too.
Yeah, right? Well, there's a difference. But, I mean, I think it's like all internet stuff, right? It's trending. It's all about trending, right? Eventually.
But people said that about Facebook. Facebook's now a $1 billion company that you can invest in stock-wise. Twitter, same thing. Instagram got bought by Facebook.
But if you look at just the usage of it, how it's used now, it's changed, right? So the Facebook, there's still other alternatives that you can use, where it's not just Facebook anymore, right? And Facebook had to buy out other things in order to have and continue staying competitive in that market. Look at they bought Instagram, they bought what was that other one?
I mean, they bought the Oculus.
Yeah, right. They bought and that's what these big companies do. It's like Google, right? Google, how did they stay relevant? Well, they bought YouTube. Right, so they just keep buying all these things in order to stay on top. Whereas essentially TikTok's either gonna buy stuff, or they're gonna have to get bought out by something, right, in order to stay relevant enough, or they're just gonna drop out like Vine, Snapchat, and all the rest, right? Because that's just how it works. It's all about these trends and keeping people interested, and then next new thing that comes out, people are gonna flock to it, right? Oh, well, now we can do videos for 2 minutes. Oh, let's do that, right? So yeah, it's like any market. It's super competitive, and if you can't adapt, you're dying.
I don't know. Yes and no. Yes and no. It's because like Vine was something that again, it was a new up and coming thing. They didn't make any money off their. I don't know what their ad system was. I'm guessing it would have been kind of like what TikTok is. It were in between your Vine stars, 7 click thing is playing, and that's the end of it, and then it goes on to the next thing. But because in all honesty, what TikTok is doing, Instagram and Twitter has already integrated into their system with the Reels. Reels and I don't know what the fuck Twitter's version is, but it is these short clip things that you can play, and then you move on to the next person, It's also the same idea as your stories, right? Your stories was for a while just an Instagram specific thing, and now it's because Facebook bought them, is now integrated into the Facebook system as well, where like you can have your stories, and Twitter has something similar as well. It's this idea of like Snapchat had that. Then other companies integrated it, which makes me believe that if the other companies start doing something similar to what TikTok is, that could be the way that the system dies. Or who would buy TikTok at this point?
What do you mean? Facebook would. Why not? I mean, we're talking about a company that already has quite a monopoly on all this
right there. Stuff. That's the key word. It is.
But it's all about. If it's trending, if it's popular, then there's money in it, and that's where they want. That's what they want. They want that generated money from all this content, all this.
What I'm saying, Michael, is in the States specifically, there are companies that can stop Facebook from buying it because they become an actual monopoly. There are certain rules or laws against it, and there are companies that try to cable services that tried to buy each other out at one point, and the government stepped in and said no, because that's you're monopolizing on a service. So social media, I don't know if social media will fall upon that, if they consider it a service or whatever. But if a company tries to buy out too many things within a certain competitor's world, right? Like if Microsoft tries to buy out Nintendo and Sega and all these other companies, PlayStation can be like, no, you're monopolizing now. You can't do that, which then you can go to courts.
Yeah, but TikTok is not an American company.
Yeah, TikTok is owned partially by the Chinese government.
Yeah, so they don't have the same rules on foreign investments or foreign companies, right? It's all about in-states companies that you're talking about.
No, not necessarily true. There's certain things that the oh my god, is Bethesda? No, that's BioWare, isn't it? BioWare's Canadian. Shit, never mind. I think you're right then. Yeah. I was about to say, I can't remember. BioWare and Bethesda are two companies that I always get mixed in together.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No, but that's exactly what's going to happen. Is Facebook's going to, if they can't do it in the States, they'll find an outlet outside. And especially, you want money, you go to China, right? Why? Because they have the population. You want something to be popular instantly, put it over in China. If they like it, you'll get billions instantly. Because you got, 1 point something billion people over there that are willing to watch these things versus 300 and something million over in the United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all these companies think about. They just think about how are we making the most money, bang for buck, right? Okay, let's buy this business. It's already established. We'll take all those users. We'll run off this for a while. And then once that becomes unpopular, we'll either ditch it or adapt it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Alphabet's done, right? Alphabet, which is the parent company to Google.
Yeah.
They've gone, and that's the thing. Then you get these big parent companies that don't just do entertainment or don't just do big tech. They go into other things like EVs or, like Tesla. Tesla's, you got SpaceX, you got the Boring company. You've got Tesla itself. You got, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how multinational corporations work.
Yeah. And it's worth noting that a lot of the business that these social medias do aren't just in selling the advertisement of making the content and then selling the advertising on that content. There's a lot of, like, a crazy amount of money to be made in web services and this taking and selling of data, because that's where a bulk of Facebook's money comes from, is from harvesting data from people and then selling them to companies to use to better sell things on us or influence us in certain ways.
Yeah,
that's where a lot of Facebook money come from. And even a company like Amazon, we think of Amazon as a warehousing company.
Oh my gosh!
A bulk of Amazon's business is actually from their web services. They make more money off their web services and their networking than they do their warehouses.
Well, yeah, like especially their web hosting now, private servers, FTP stuff, game developers. Like at one point, Ubisoft was thinking about using their servers for their crypto security system to try to help with the anti-cheat stuff. It is this idea of the companies have the name that you recognize, then all these sublets that you never hear about, which is really where they make their they make their bread and butter off of that. It's It's very, very interesting. All right, so this was a pretty mature talk for a stream, I think, for a podcast. We had some butt sex talk. We got serious with COVID. We talked about movies, and then we ended with not a downer, but kind of another serious note. So I think it's actually pretty good. But this is where we are going to wrap it up for the the non-paid side. But this is still technically, don't worry about it. We're going to do the post show so you guys will be able to see it. But don't forget, once again, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to support us, go ahead, go to patreon.com/SelectStartNetwork. Look at the tiers, pick whichever one you can, and if you can't, just plug us on socials. Have fun with it, and enjoy yourselves. We're about to do the post show now, which again, it is free for the month of April. So I say bye, but really, it's not a real bye. Bye.
That's pretend bye.
Not bye.
Bye, not bye.
All right, there you go. Fuck me, man. I was gonna leave it up to the chat right now. If there's a last mini topic that you guys want to talk about, now's the time to bring it up.
Sure.
Or even a good point with the Elon Musk becoming a supervillain.
Oh yeah.
He needs to be. Come on, he needs to be at this rate.
Like he is. Alex, we've already talked about Blue New. We're not talking about it again.
I think he could go either way. He could go full Lex Luthor and put himself in a big fucking armored suit and go destroy a city, or he could have a traumatic experience, end up in a cave and building an Iron Man suit, and then go be a hero. I think he could go either way. He'll probably go
he should not be Iron Man. I'm sorry. He's not stable enough mentally for that one.
Could you imagine an Iron Man suit pull up and Elon Musk get out?
So I think, you guys are going super villain in the sense of like, comics. I'm going more Bond villain stuff because the motherfucker's got satellites in the air. He's got cars that are like electronically powered and like wirelessly controlled and shit. In my mind, it's more of the idea of like, you're going to need a James Bond, Tom Hiddleston. to come in and stop this man, because with his satellite dishes, he's gonna send waves that'll program the cars to explode, combust, or drive into certain like key areas and just wreak havoc and turn to Transformers or something. And
especially if he gets that Neuralink stuff working too,
right?
Like,
and like now he has a system. Like, have you guys seen the shit that he can do now? With the satellite dishes, like the service that he's offering, the Starlink, I think that's what it's called.
Yep, Starlink. Yep.
Like, it's this idea of like rural neighborhoods can now have internet for like, expensive. It's like 130 some bucks, and it's like for 50 mugs, but still you could live in the buttfuck nowhere and now have internet option that you don't have to like connect. You don't have to hardline into a network. You could still be off the grid, sort of. But this man, he is Lex Luthor. Like, there's no doubt about it. There's no redeeming qualities for fucking Elon Musk. The man had to get booted out of his own company because of the dumb shit he was saying. Like, he doesn't run Tesla. He doesn't.
He didn't even fully boot him out. That's the thing, right? Like, that's what's crazy about it, and that's what makes him more Lex Luthor. Like, they don't want him, but they want him at the same time.
Yeah.
Have you seen his wife's back tattoos?
No, I try not.
Okay. She got these weird, bizarre back tattoos. It looks like she has alien veins going through her, like through her body. Like you can see veins through her skin.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
It almost looks like she was whipped. It's fucking weird.
Elon's just gonna use that for practice for when he goes to Mars because he wants to see what the Martian chicks are like. After as much as possible.
Like, who spends money on that? I'm looking at this right now. Who the fuck spends money on that? It literally just looked like the guy got drunk and it's just like all over. And then their fucking kid's name? Their kid's name's not even a real name. Like, it's
it is if you do the math equation, right? And
figure
it out.
Fuck you, Michael. Fuck you.
I'm just saying, you gotta be a genius to sort it out.
Jesus Christ! Like, and I read the description of like what the name was supposed to like signify. There were so many normal ways to do it. Like they were trying to name it Ash and Archangel. Okay, there's your name, Ash, Archangel, Musk. Fucking
But everything Musk does is not normal. I mean, who sends a car with a dummy into space for the fun of it, right? Who makes a company that just makes flamethrowers for fun, right? Like that's the thing that is so great about Elon Musk is he don't care. He's gonna do it because it's fun for him. He's got the money, and why not, right?
Did you guys see his official title at Tesla?
No, I did, but I forget what it is.
His official title at Tesla is Techno King.
Yeah, that's right.
That is genuinely his title. Like he'll have business cards.
That's Elon Musk.
This is the man that will rule the world, and he has his son's name as a math equation, and he's called the Techno King, and he just smokes giant bales of weed with Joe Rogan. Like, what the fuck, man, is happening?
He's properly setting up his kid to become the Techno Prince.
Exactly. We're gonna be a technocracy soon.
Like, there's your Superboy Prime in our world. There's gonna be this little shit of a kid who's gonna jacked up on roids and what else? Some kind of radiation steroid growth thing. Fuck, man, that's scary.
He'll be doing it on Mars, so it's all good.
No, because then he's gonna be a Martian. And then he's gonna absorb the sun's radiation and become even stronger. Then he'll just fucking Omni-Man punch through the planet.
And I mean, that's kind of the story of Superboy Prime, because he's looking for his old home. So if he is on Mars, he's gonna come to Earth and just wreak havoc.
Like, we're gonna.
Well, what? I mean, Earth will be just trash anyways at that point. So what does it matter?
Yeah, we'll all be in the satellite like Wally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or like Elysium. You know, all the rich people will be on a satellite, and we'll be just down here eating sand.
Yeah, but Zach, here's the difference, okay? He may be $20 billion behind Bezos. The difference being Bezos is this like awkward, quiet man that you never hear of. Elon Musk is just out there, okay? Lex Luthor is not the richest man in the world. Technically, you could argue that probably Wayne was closer to that. But you hear more about Lex Luthor than you do about Wayne when Lex Luthor blows shit up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, there's no winning to that.
We're talking about Elon Musk as a loudspeaker, where somebody else, or Bezos, is like a mouse. You never see him or hear him. Right?
Yeah. You only hear his name when he's
on top of a mountain with like 15 freaking speakers that are pointing out every direction of the universe. And
oh my god. Anyways. weird ass post show. Yeah, that supervillain is Elon Musk 100%. We'll need Bezos to become the awkward, silent Batman and fight him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jeff Bezos is gonna have to be Batman. Good luck.
We need somebody to do some photoshopping here and get a picture of.
Yeah.
We know we've got people with skills.
Will, there's your challenge. There's your challenge, Will. If you're still there, we're gonna need Batman as Jeff Bezos and Superman. Or I guess at this point wouldn't really work as well, but still, we'll make Superman Elon Musk and have them fight and kiss. Okay. All right.
Exactly.
Who's gonna be the Lex Luthor? Who's gonna be the Lex Luthor of that story?
Oh shit. Bill Gates.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
There it is. It's the perfect red herring. No one would ever expect that switch.
Right?
Oh my god. All right, guys.
Oh, it's genius.
Thanks for joining us for the post show. Love y'all, and we'll talk to you tomorrow if you're here for the Snatum with Tom and I, where we watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
On a side note, kind of funny, we're coming for you. I'm gonna fucking destroy you, Greg Miller. Goodbye.